This is another way to find information about the air quality near you, where monitors are, which direction the wind is going. You can get AQS site ID numbers for the sites near you and generate a windrows at AirNowTech. So I just always Google whatever I'm looking for, AirNowTech. Go to the home page. In the bar at the top, you find Navigator. Click on Navigator. You need an account, which is very easily obtained. They give it to you in a matter of hours. Click Request an AirNowTech account. Once you get one, you can get access to a lot of cool tools. The United States map opens up. The toolbar that has parameters, sites, layers, and My Maps as tabs has under the parameter screen, select a parameter. We can see that this must show all the monitoring sites in the United States. So let's zoom in where we're looking for. We were answering a question about the sites around a tribe in Wisconsin that was located just northeast of Minneapolis, just right around here. So we've zoomed and dragged the map to show this location. And just as is the case with air data, you can see sites that are near you. This particular visualization has none of the checkboxes here checked, and these checkboxes will display a parameter. If you select a parameter here in this drop-down box, ozone, 44201 is the method code for ozone. So I'm going to click that. All the monitoring sites are shown in the map by the tiny dark pyramids, but now those tiny dark pyramids that monitor for ozone are shown as a circle, and the color of the circle has a legend over here, and obviously green is pretty low, less than 60 parts per billion. But my question now becomes, well, which direction is the wind coming from? Obviously, if it's coming directly from Minneapolis, then I'm going to want to know what the concentrations of these monitors are showing. To show where the direction of the wind is coming from, I'm going to uncheck parameter, which just takes all the site down back to the pyramid shape, and then I'm going to check wind barbs. And these wind barbs are arrows pointing the same direction as the wind. To be able to navigate a little bit better, let's check the box here that shows the exterior boundaries of Indian tribes, which can help a bit in navigation. Remember, we're keeping our eye on this cluster here that's Minneapolis. It's hard for me to read these wind barbs, so I'm going to go to the Layers tab, and I am going to check Street Map. And that way I can see the barbs more clearly. They're like an arrow, from the barbs at the end or like the barbs at the tail of the arrow, and the long end is the direction the wind is going in. If you go to the Sites tab, you can see that the little crosses are National Weather Service sites. So these are measuring the direction of the wind coming from towards that site, and then the speed is proportional to the number of barbs at the end, and the legend for that is under the parameters tab. It'll tell you, and the speed is in knots. But what this tells us is that the wind towards this tribe here is not coming from Minneapolis. It's coming from the southeast. So it looks like we might not be all that interested in the air monitors that are measuring the air around Minneapolis, because that looks like it passes on by the tribal lands to the northeast of Minneapolis. These show the wind barb for a particular time period. What time period they're shown for is in this panel, where it's defaulted to the last data that's available, but you can look at the wind patterns in increments of an hour behind, 8 hours behind, or 24 hours behind. If I click 8 hours behind, they regenerate and they say not very windy and it's coming from the same direction. Then you can also click the +1 is the predicted wind direction and speed, and you can see that the prediction is that the wind direction is going to shift a little bit in about an hour, and it's going to shift back the same direction in about 8 hours. I'm going to reset back to the current data that's available. But what about the wind over the past 3 months, over the past year? To do that, you need to generate a windrows. The windrows tool is accessible in this secret hidden toolbar, which is underneath the parameters and sites menu, and you can't really see it, so you have to minimize these things above it. And that underneath opens up this tools, and it has some really great tools on it. One is the site information tool, which you use to click on a site and get the AQS site ID and information about what's being monitored at that site. Then there's the distance tool, which you could measure, for example, the distance from any one of these sites to this tribal land area. Then there's high split, which is kind of fancy, and we'll talk about it in another video. But the coolest tool in this lineup of cool tools is the windrows tool. Once you depress that windrows tool button, you can click on the map and generate even multiple windroses. The default parameters are for the past 3 months, but you can change them. For example, even just to include a season, like if you have a fire season, you could generate a windrows that reflects the wind speed and wind direction just for that particular fire season. And you click it and it takes a little while to generate. This tells us that just over the past 3 months, the predominant wind direction has been from the south. So in terms of sources of air pollution, the south would be more of an area to look at than Minneapolis, although Minneapolis is still very close. So that's how you can determine the direction the wind is coming from near you. Sometimes it's easier to navigate if you select topo maps, and then you would have to regenerate the windrows. But sometimes it's easier to tell where you are. And there you see the windrows. In the next video, we'll show you how to use AirNowTech Navigator to download site data using the Site Information tool.